Hi, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Heather, and I'm going to be guiding you through a 60-minute yin yoga sequence. Today's yoga class is going to be all about the root chakra, Muladhara chakra. And this chakra grounds us into the earth beneath us. It gives us a sense of stability. And it represents the support system for all the other chakras. So it's very, very important. It helps us feel grounded and stable. And the root system of this energy center sits at the wellspring of the central channel, the Sushumna Nadi, like an underground bulb full of potency. Muladhara acts to move and pump electrical energy, fluids, and nutrients upwards along the entire length of the spine and into the brain and organs. So you can see it's a very powerful, very potent, and important chakra, and we're going to be nourishing that today. The Muladhara chakra is located at the base of the spine, and you can imagine it at the sacrum or even the coccyx. You can even think about the Muladhara chakra being even lower than the pelvic region, even encompassing the entire legs and even below into the feet as it encompasses that whole area of fully grounding ourselves into the earth. The Muladhara chakra governs over our legs and our feet and our tailbone, bowel system, blood, bones, right? So it's very important that we nourish this area. So we have strong bones, strong systems. It is the element of earth. The mantra for the Muladhara chakra is I am. And so as we go throughout this practice, there'll be some affirmations that will incorporate into this practice as we move in through some of the shapes. And so a lot of the affirmations you'll notice have the I am initiating words there. The color of the Muladhara chakra is red, a deep, dark red color, almost the color of blood. Muladhara chakra rules over our sense of smell. And so it gives us this sense of recognizing and understanding things that are safe for us to take into us, or even things that might not be safe, so we'd want to stay away from that. Vocabulary for the Muladhara chakra is earth energy, roots, connecting to our ancestors, family, and our base needs of life. So let's go ahead and get into the practice today. You will need one blanket and two blocks. If you don't have two blocks, you can use two pretty thick books. If you're a Harry Potter fan, the last couple of books in the Harry Potter series has pretty thick books, so you can use that as support. Encyclopedias work great. If you don't have that, maybe two large cans, maybe like family style cans of beans or something like that you can use. Or anything that is going to bring the floor closer to you and is sturdy enough to hold your weight, right? So let's begin in a nice, comfortable seated position. You can take your blanket underneath the hips for a little bit of support to bring the hips up. And we'll begin our practice with a pranayama. And this pranayama practice is an excellent practice if you've been feeling stressed out. A lot of times, yin yoga really takes us to the edge of sensation where we're really starting to feel some activation, some pressure, maybe in some of the ligaments and joint systems here. So and that can even take us to activating the sympathetic nervous system and the fight or flight or freeze response. And so that's what this breath is going to be helping us to move through and to soothe our body to come back to the parasympathetic nervous system and the response of rest, digest, restore. And so the pranayama practice is very simple. We'll inhale to a count of 5 and then exhale to a count of 7, right? And so the count is kind of arbitrary. It's really up to the yogi, but so long as the exhale is longer than the inhale, it signals at the body that we can kind of relax and release. So let's try it together. Inhaling to a count of about 5. And then slowly exhaling to a count of about 7. And we'll continue on with this practice for about 8 to 10 breaths. And as you breathe this way, notice what is happening inside your body. Become aware and notice if you feel like your muscles are starting to release. If you notice that your hips start to relax and maybe melt into the mat beneath you. Maybe you even notice that your shoulders drop just a little bit. Maybe you close your eyes and turn your gaze inward and notice if you can feel your heartbeat slowing down. Coming back to the breath, inhaling to a count of about 5. And then exhaling to a count of about 7. And we'll take a few more breaths in this way. Noticing how you feel. And then on your last exhale here, gently blink the eyes open just a little bit, and we'll move into our first shape of the practice. So the first shape of the practice is child's pose. And so you can gently come off of that blanket, and then you can unfold it just a little bit here, maybe into a little quarter here, and then take your knees up onto the blanket. If your knees are a little bit sensitive, you can take the knees onto the blanket and then come into a wide knee. So take the knees out as wide as feels good. Sit the hips back towards the heels, and then slowly walk your hands out in front of you. Taking your time here, finding the shape that feels best in your body today. And then you can take forehead to the mat or chin to the mat, whatever feels best for your body. We're just going to be in this shape for about 20 breaths, focusing on the long, deep inhales and the even longer exhales. I'll let you know when we get to the halfway point if you'd like to make any adjustments in this shape. You can feel free to turn your head one direction if that feels better. And then at the halfway point, we will switch directions. So just allow yourself to find some stillness here. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is to find a stillness within the body in these shapes. So just give yourself some grace. Then come back to the breath. We're about halfway through. So feel free to maybe make any adjustments, maybe turning your head to the opposite direction. Maybe sitting the heels back a little bit farther, or sitting the hips back a little bit farther towards the heels, or even coming out of the shape just a little bit. Wherever you are, honor your body, and then bring yourself back to stillness. Bring yourself back to the breath. Invite a longer breath in. And then on your exhale, gently raise the head slowly and take your time. And then press into the hands and forearms to gently pull yourself forward, bringing the knees back underneath of you. And let's hinge forward just a little bit, forward and back on the forearms and the knees, bringing some blood back into the lower legs after scrunching them up in the child's pose. They may have lost a little bit of circulation. So just shimmying forward and back gives an opportunity for the blood flow to come back into the lower legs. And then slowly walk up onto your hands. And then let's roll through a few rounds of cats and cow. So inhale, drop your belly, gently lift the chin, lift the tail. Exhale, curve and round your spine, pull your belly in and up, drop your head, drop your tail. Inhale, reverse the curve of the spine, dropping the belly, lifting the chin and tail. And then reverse the curve, unwind and curl the spine up, drop the chin. Let's go through 2 more rounds on your own. Take your time. Remembering to stay with the breath. Last round. And then come back to a neutral spine, and we'll move into our next shape. So our next shape is ankle pose, and you can gently walk forward, walk your knees forward onto your yoga mat so that your ankles are now resting on that blanket. If you don't have a blanket underneath your ankles, maybe grab one just to give it a little bit of extra support down there. We'll be coming into ankle pose. And so ankle pose is really just sitting back onto your heels and stretching the ankle all the way down in a flexion experience. And so, or excuse me, extension experience. And so in this shape, you can stay here with the knees on the ground, your ankles are on the yoga mat. Or if you'd like to take it a little bit farther, you can try to place a block underneath of the knees and just seeing how that feels as you create a farther or deeper extension in the ankle joint there. So yogi's choice. We're only going to be here for about 60 seconds. So take the shape that feels best for you today, and then see if you can come back to a state of stillness, right? We mentioned earlier that stillness in the body is sometimes the easy part, but it's stillness in the mind that can become a little bit more challenging. So allow yourself to come back to the breath. Long, deep inhales. Long, deep exhales. Maybe close your eyes and take your gaze inward and notice what's happening in your body. Notice what's happening with your Muladhara chakra. Does this shape help you to feel more grounded? Maybe affirm to yourself that your needs are met. The universe provides for your needs. Take one more breath in. And on your exhale, gently blink your eyes open, and then we'll walk the hands forward into all fours, and then start to tap your toes and tops of the feet onto the yoga mat. So tippy tap. This starts to help to release the ankles and to get some more blood flowing into the lower legs. And then from here, bend the knees so that the feet are coming towards the heels, and then flex your toes towards your face. So flexing the toes upward, flexing the ankle, and then extend the toes. Notice how that feels. Flex, extend. Flex your toes, flex your ankles, and then extend. One more flex. And then as the toes and ankles are flexed, gently take the toes onto the yoga mat. We're going to come into our next shape, which is toe pose. Some people call it broken toe pose, but we're just going to call it toe pose because all of our toes are going to remain intact. So gently take your toes onto the yoga mat. You can take them onto that blanket if it feels good, if you need a little bit of extra support. And so your toes are on the yoga mat, and then you start to shift your hips and your weight back towards the heels. So now your toes are flexed all the way. And in this shape, hands and knees on the ground, toes are flexed. Um, yep. So knees, toes are flexed towards your face. And if this shape actually feels good, you can stay here, right? This can actually be a lot for a lot of people. This flexion of the toes can be a lot for people because this is working all of the energetic ley lines within the body. This is really starting to almost break up some adhesions in the foundation, the physical foundation of our bodies, which is what we're working with today with the Muladhara chakra. If you'd like to take it a little bit further, okay, yogi's choice, and try it out if it feels good. If not, come back to hands and knees, toes on the ground. If you want to take it further, though, you can slowly start to walk your hands up your thighs. So now you're in this toe kind of squat pose. And so just notice how that feels, right? So if that feels good and you're able to breathe and you're feeling okay, then you can stay there. But if it's too much, then you can come back to, like I said, hands and knees and then toes flexed on the ground. So we're just going to be here for a few more breaths. If you're feeling like a sensation of coming into fight or flight, like you want to escape out of this pose, like it's almost difficult to find stillness, try to see if you can come back to the breath. Bring your awareness to the breath. See if you can calm down your nervous system with long, deep exhales. One more breath. And as you exhale, gently shift the hips forward, untuck the toes. Maybe walk your hands forward if you need to. And then let's tap our toes back onto the yoga mat. So tapping our toes, getting some of that energy out. I know that toe pose can be a lot. It can be really intense. So tap that out. And then tap the heels together. Tap the heels together almost like you are Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Just bringing a little bit more energy back into the feet. And then come to stillness, just hands and knees. And then bring your awareness to the feet. Notice if you feel any flowing of energy or rushing of blood or tingling sensations or anything like that. And if you do feel that, then just know that you are strengthening your awareness to be able to understand the movement of the vital life force, the prana within your body. So let's come into our next shape. So our next shape is just a forward fold dangle. So let's tuck our toes and gently start to walk our hands back. We're going to come into a downward dog first. And I think this is going to be super good, especially for our ankles and our feet. Let's do a little pedal out in this downward dog. Pedaling out the legs just a little bit. Noticing how your ankles feel. And notice how that energy starts to radiate up to the calves. How are your calves feeling? Do they feel tight? Do they feel open and loose? Let's take one more breath, pedaling it out. And then on our exhale, And if you haven't already, you can move your blanket to the side. And then on our exhale, let's gently start to walk our feet towards our hands. Take a generous bend in the knees if you need to here. And we'll just come into our nice little forward fold. Take the feet out about hip width distance, or maybe a little bit wider if that feels better in your hips and in your stability today. Because remember, we're focusing on that Muladhara chakra, which is the foundation of our stability. It connects us to the earth, it keeps us grounded. And if this feels good, you can stay here, hands reaching towards the mat or fingertips maybe touching the mat. Generous bend in the knees if you need that. You can even layer your forearms over one another, creating a little bit of pressure as it pulls the spine down just a little bit, nice and gentle, giving a little decompression of the vertebrae. Before we settle into stillness, maybe you invite just a little bit of a sway side to side to help to further release any stickiness in the spine. And then maybe you shake your head yes, and shake your head no. And then see if you can find some stillness here. We're only going to be here for a few breaths. One more breath. And then on your next exhale, gently unravel the hands, reaching them towards the ground. Generous bend in the knees here, taking the hips down about parallel to the mat. Raise your head. So this is a little bit of a modified halfway lift here. And then with a straight spine, right? So you're almost in like a little bit of a chair pose. With a straight spine, start to walk your hands up your legs and then come into a standing position, right? A nice little standing position, taking your time, allowing your body to readjust. And then take a moment in this Tadasana shape, standing pose. Feet are about hip width distance apart. Take your toes and lift them up towards your face. Lift all 10 toes up towards your face, almost as if they are reaching towards the sky. Exhale and then plant the big toes only, flaring all the other toes out towards the side. On your next exhale, plant the pinky toes only. So all the 3 middle toes in the middle are lifting towards your face. On your next exhale, plant all 10 toes into the earth and imagine as if these toes are roots growing into the earth beneath you, creating a strong, solid foundation to take you on for the rest of your journey throughout life. Take one more big breath in, maybe a little bit bend in the knees. And as the knees bend, allow the tailbone to tuck just a little bit. And then as the energy starts to rise up your spine, zip the belly in, lower belly in. As the energy starts to rise, maybe lifting the chest just a little bit, rolling the shoulder blades down and back. And the energy continues to rise, lifting the crown of the head to the ceiling. Nice big inhale, raise your arms all the way up, look up. Energy rises through all the rest of the chakras, beginning at the Muladhara. Exhale, take your hands all the way down. Good job, everyone. Let's heel to our feet out a little bit wider than hips width distance, maybe even wider than the yoga mat itself. And then let's start to bend into the knees, coming into our next shape, Malasana squat. Now, this is a really good option to bring in some additional support here. If you'd like, you can take your 2 blocks and set them up right beneath you to create a little bit of a seat. If you'd like to, yogi's choice, this gives you an option for a little bit of support. And then so you'll gently start to bend into the knees, coming through your squat poles all the way down. And like I said, you can either rest on the blocks or you can remove the blocks and then take it all the way to your yogi squat. So yogi's choice here. Yogi's choice here, and take a moment to get yourself set up for success. The idea here is to allow your hips to gently rest onto the yoga mat beneath you, or excuse me, to allow the heels to press into the yoga mat beneath you. Knees are coming wide. You can even take your hands in a prayer and then use the elbows to open the knees out a little bit wider. And then if you're sitting on blocks, you can either allow your legs to fully relax, allow the buttocks and the legs to fully relax, or you can gently press into the legs, okay? And this starts to flex the thighs and the side glute medius here. So it starts to flex this area. And so it's giving a little bit of strength, a little bit of opening into the hips. So your choice, okay? Let's take a few breaths here. Feeling the energy moving through the hips. The hips are turning on, the hips are awakening. We're going to take just 3 more breaths. Remember the long, deep inhales and the even longer exhales. And maybe even affirm to yourself that I am safe. I am home. I am enough. On your next exhale, gently release the hands onto the yoga mat beneath you, and then slowly lift the hips, and then remove your blocks if you use blocks. And then you can sit the hips all the way down onto the yoga mat here. And we'll come into our next little bit of a shape. Before we do that, though, let's take a little bit of rebound. So taking the feet, the soles of the feet together. Soles of the feet are together. Spine is gently lifting towards the ceiling. Maybe take the hands to the ankles and then gently start to flutter your knees. Allowing some of that energy that we accumulated from the Malasana squat, allowing some of that energy to flow out of the hips and maybe down the legs. Down the legs, into the feet, sending the energy back into the earth. Take a couple moments, just allowing some of this energy to move through. Little flutters. And then see if you can come to some stillness. So when you come to stillness, bring your awareness to your legs. Notice, do you feel any energy moving down the legs? Do you feel any tingling sensations or waves of energy? If you do, that's your um, meridian energy. So the vital life force, the prana we've been chatting about, that is pumping and moving through the rest of your body, right? The Muladhara chakra is activated and getting into some work. If you're not feeling that energy, that's okay, no problem. As we continue through the practice, maybe you'll feel it, um, maybe not, and that's okay. As you continue through your own yin yoga practice, maybe it's an awareness that you can develop as you continue on. No worries. So let's come into our next shape. So we are in our butterfly shape. Feet, soles of the feet are together, and then you can gently hinge at the hips, folding forward, butterfly fold. Now, this is a really good opportunity to bring in that blanket. You can take a blanket over the feet. You can even take 2 blocks on the highest position over the feet, blanket over the blocks, and you can take your hands and then gently create a little pillow, folding your hands over one another, and then gently allow your head to rest on the pillow of your hands. If you're feeling a little bit more open in your hip joints today, you can remove the blocks and allow yourself to fold all the way forward. So, yogi's choice, just allow yourself the support that you need in this shape. We're just going to be here for about 2.5 minutes. And I'll let you know when we hit that halfway point if you need to make any adjustments in your practice or in the shape. You can feel free to make those adjustments at that time. So we're about halfway through on this shape. If you'd like to make any adjustments, maybe bringing the heels closer to your hips or farther away, or maybe even removing some blocks or blanket to allow yourself to fold deeper into this butterfly forward fold. Alternatively, you can also add a couple of blocks and a blanket if you need to bring yourself up just a little bit. And wherever you are, see if you can come back to some stillness here, bringing your awareness back to the breath. Maybe even affirm to yourself, I am enough. The universe, the universe provides everything I need. I am abundant. I am whole. I am worthy. Initiate a deeper inhale. And on your exhale, gently raise the head and press yourself back up to seated. Really take your time here. And then you can remove any bolsters or blankets or blocks that you used in that last shape. And we'll come into our rebound. So extend the legs out long in front of you. Take the hands out behind you and give a little lean back. You can fingers can stay towards the front of the mat, or you can spin them backward behind you, whatever feels best for your arms. Take your feet out wide, like hips width distance wide. And then let's start rotating the feet and legs in and out. Rotating in and out. And this rebound movement reminds me of being a kid in the grass and the flowers, hanging out. Usually when we're playing baseball in the outfield. And so when you do this practice, you start to move the energy through the hips. So from the hips all the way down the legs. And so continue doing this movement in and out, in and out. And then when we stop here in a moment, I want you to bring your awareness to your legs and notice what you feel, right? Do you feel energy moving down the legs? Do you feel a tingling sensation? Maybe a rushing of fluid or water or something in your legs. Okay, so ready? Keep rotating in and out, in and out. And then allow the rotation to stop. And this is where you start to feel it. Usually it's tingling in the toes, energy just moving down the legs. Take a moment, come back to the breath, and notice, what do you feel? Take one more breath. And on your exhale, let's start to walk our hands a little bit forward. And we will come into our next shape. Okay, so our next shape, and let's come to the side of our yoga mat. So we're going to be coming and opening out to the side here. And we'll come into our wide leg dragonfly fold. Wide leg forward fold. Okay, so take your legs out as wide as feels good for your body today. And then we're going to set up some support. So you can set up, if you need support, so you can set up 2 blocks just like this. And then you can place your blanket over top, similar how we did in our butterfly fold. So you can do it like that. You can even stack 2 blocks, and allow your chest to rest onto that. Any height, right? So any height that feels best for you. You can even take it out farther and allow your head to rest onto that. So there's a lot of variety on how you can support yourself in this wide leg forward fold. And so kind of play with some of the options here. Again, you can take the little table out close to you to allow your chest to lay onto that. You can bring, like I said, both yoga blocks together. I think what I'm going to do is take one block on the bottom setting and see how I feel, and then one block on the top setting, and then fold forward that way. So, yogi's choice, take the variation that feels best for you. If you have a bolster handy, we're not using it in this practice today, but if you happen to have one at home, you can grab one of those or a couch cushion. In a previous yoga class, we used a big poof for the the floor poofs. So lots of different options for props you can use. But for today, we're going to be using these two blocks in this blanket. So wherever you are in your wide leg stance, allow yourself to hinge at the hips and then gently start to fold forward. You can keep your hands on the mat to provide additional support. And just allow yourself to fold forward here. Now, this is probably going to be the longest shape of our practice. We're going to be here for 3.5 to 4 minutes. Okay. So, again, find the shape and the variation of that shape that feels best for you today. We're getting deep into the hip joints here. So, take that time. And then see if you can come back to a state of stillness. And stillness in the body is, the easy part. For the most part, it's the easy part. But when we practice yoga, the goal is to unite our mind, body, spirit. We're yoking these three elements of ourselves together to become one. And an easy way to do that is to focus on the breath. The breath keeps the mind aware and steady. And it also keeps the body aware and steady. And when our mind and body are steady, our spirit can also feel steady and secure. And that's the whole theme of today's practice. Yes, we're working with Muladhara chakra, but we're aiming to create a sense of stability and groundedness. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. Just bring it back to the breath. Long, deep inhales. And even longer exhales. And we're about halfway through this shape. So if you need to make any adjustments, maybe taking the legs out wider or even bringing the legs closer together, you can even adjust your props, your support system here, maybe taking the blocks to a lower tier or removing a block or removing a blanket. Yogi's choice, allowing yourself to find that edge of sensation where you're really starting to feel something happening in your body, maybe a slight pressure, some energetic awareness, energy flowing. If you're finding yourself feeling pinching, stabbing, sharp, popping, anything like that, come out of the shape at least 15%. We only want to feel a little bit of pressure, a little bit of sensation, but not to the point of pain. So, wherever you are, just honor your body, honor where you are. Allow yourself a deeper breath in here. And on your exhale, gently start to lift the head and then press yourself all the way up. Take your time, and we'll move the blocks and blanket over to the side. And then grab underneath of the knees with your hands and then gently lift the legs up together. And then we're going to come to lying all the way on our backs here. So take a moment to lie all the way onto your back. We're not quite done just yet, but take this moment to allow the femur bones to come back into their socket. Maybe rotate the legs in and out. Just for a second. And then take your knees, bend them upward, plant the soles of the feet onto the yoga mat, and then take the soles of the feet wide to the wide edges of your mat. And then we'll come into constructive rest. So bring your knees together, feet are wide, almost creating a little pyramid with your legs. And then maybe roll the spine down just a little bit, allowing the lower back to gently kiss the yoga mat. Maybe tuck the shoulder blades underneath of you a little bit, opening the chest. Taking this moment to notice, how do the hips feel? Can you feel any energy moving through the hip sockets, the hip joints? If not, that is okay. Just taking a moment here to notice. And then slowly start to walk your feet back closer together. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Squeeze it in. And then maybe start to rock from side to side. Start to rock from side to side. And then maybe rock forward and back. Rocking forward and back. Rolling along the spine. Giving a nice massage. And we're almost even like pushing the energy up our spine from our Muladhara chakra as we roll back and forth. So imagine that energy just rolling up your spine with every forward and back roll, rolling the energy all the way up to our crown chakra, the Sahasrara chakra. And then as that starts to feel pretty good, right? Because moving in this way can really get your energy moving, get your chakras spinning. As you start to feel pretty good in this shape, utilize as many rocks and rolls as you prefer. Allow yourself to come to stillness. And as you're coming into stillness with your knees into your chest, notice how you feel. Notice if you can feel any energy swirling throughout your body. Taking a moment of stillness just to notice what's happening. On your last exhale here, take the feet all the way up and bend the knees in towards the armpits, grabbing the outsides of the soles of the feet. And so we'll come into our next shape. So this is like a happy baby shape, or in yin yoga, they call it stirrup pose, like you're riding a horse, which is kind of cool, like upside down riding a horse. And so take some time here, maybe rocking from side to side, kind of how you would do in a happy baby, really kind of getting some energy moving. Again, massaging the spine, maybe straightening one leg and then the other. And then see if you can come into some stillness with the stirrup pose. Notice how you are feeling. Notice if you feel any energy moving throughout the hip sockets, into the femur bones, or into the thighs. Notice if you feel any energy moving from your Muladhara chakra or the base of the spine, moving upward. And then take that awareness back to your breath. We're going to be here for 10 long, deep breaths. Inhaling to a count of about 5. And then exhaling to a count of about 7. Maybe even affirm to yourself that I am anchored and connected to the earth. 2 more breaths. On your last exhale, gently release the grip of your feet. Bring the knees in together into your chest. One more time. Give it a hug, a little squeeze in. And then release the feet onto the ground beneath you. Take your feet out wide. We'll come into constructive rest one more time, just to allow the hips to release, allow the energy to release. This is a good time to just notice how you're feeling. And if this shape feels good, you can stay here. If you'd like to move with me into our final shape of the day, Shavasana, you can take your legs all the way out long. All the way out long onto your yoga mat. Maybe even taking a rolled up blanket underneath of your knees to give a little bit of extra support. And then just allowing the body to completely relax. Taking a moment to roll the shoulder blades underneath of the chest, opening up the chest. Maybe snaking the spine all the way down, elongating the body. And just affirm to yourself, I am worthy. I am enough. I have enough. Abundance flows through me. I am anchored and connected to the earth. invite a deeper inhale, bringing some gentle awareness to your body. Maybe start to initiate some gentle movement. Maybe scrunching the face and then inviting a smile. Maybe wiggling the fingers, touching each finger pad to the thumb. Maybe spreading the toes out wide and then flexing them towards your face. And even bringing the arms overhead, taking a nice big stretch as if you're waking up first thing in the morning. And then if that feels good, maybe you bring the knees up to your chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Maybe even thanking yourself for filling your cup with yoga today. And as you feel ready, you can start to roll over to your preferred side using your bottom arm as a pillow. Bringing the knees up close towards your chest, coming into a fetal position. Drinking in the last sips of peace and calm. And then when you're ready to awaken, renewed and refreshed, you can slowly start to press into your hands, bringing yourself all the way back up to a seated position. Really take your time. There's no rush. Remember, this is your practice. And bringing the hands together in front of your chest. And slowly blink your eyeballs open. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Yin Yoga practice. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be filled with joy. Namaste.